So, in your experience of handling multi-day, multi-generation, multicultural events, what are some of the more nuanced traditions you've had to accommodate and fuse and figure out?
Yeah, so absolutely. So with Asian weddings, we've got all the different religions and the different religious ceremonies. So for Hindu weddings, you have the mandap ceremony. There might be some smaller ceremonies they'll need to do beforehand that don't necessarily need to be at the mandap, but sometimes they are. Depends on the priest and what he would like to do. So so they might kind of all congregate around this area here for like a pre-ceremony with the bride ahead of all the guests arriving, and then you'll have to obviously consider the height for your marquees as well. So sometimes couples want really grand mandap, so we just need to make sure that it will fit height wise and it won't look too tight. There are some fixed marquee venues where their roofs are quite short. Yes, they're quite low, so it kind of it touches the marquee at the mandap, so you kind of don't want that. Making sure we have enough space because when the couple need to walk around the fire, so just making sure that the floor space is big enough. So for example, where you have a mandap that's bespoke or on a platform that's bespoke, just to make sure that there's enough space around for the couple,
and of course the fire element
as well, absolutely, health and safety, making sure there's enough ventilation for any sort of smoke that might kind of accumulate from the fire as well. So just keeping like a part of the venue open, just to make sure that's also not too uncomfortable for the guests if the venue is quite intimate as well. And then for example Muslim weddings, they won't necessarily have any sort of structure like this, but they might have they might need a big stage area, because they'll tend to have like a sofa and then some single seaters on the side for guests to kind of come and sit down and take photos, but we need a lot of space behind because you're going to have a lot of family joining for photos.
I do notice with those ones sometimes you've got quite a lot of people coming onto the stage, don't you? It can really vary.
It can vary. Again, something else that we plan ahead of time with the couple, just to make sure they've got their photo list sorted, so we have an idea of how many people will be coming on, so we can then kind of pre-guide the photographer to say we've got this many photos, this many people, and we tend to have somebody from each side of the family just guiding that process, making sure that group one, they've already taken their picture, group two are already waiting to then get onto the stage, and it just becomes like a very seamless exercise. Then we don't end up, because photos can take a very long time as well, and they can take 2 to 3 minutes per group if each person is trying to greet and congratulate the bride and groom, which tends to happen on stage as well. So it's you need to kind of have that quite seamless.
Out of interest, do you know on photos, have you noticed the trend for having multiple photographers and multiple videographers throughout the day?
There are content creators now, which is a big thing for weddings. So couples will like to have content creators as well as their more traditional photographers and videographers for their end sort of like cinematic reels, but the content creators capture those images and those reels that they can then turn around really quickly, and the couple then can have like a bit of a preview trailer. And
because in fact the real wedding photos take months.
They can do.
They really do take for all the editing. So it's nice to have that. We find also multiple videographers as well, drone shooting as well.
Drones are a big thing as well. They're absolutely amazing with the shots that you can get, especially when you've got really like exclusive venues that are across like a large resort or a large estate. Just kind of getting those drone shots of all the family, and kind of when people are coming in, it just really creates like a different kind of element to the video, for sure. So there's lots of different things to consider. We could be here talking all day about it, I'm sure, but with the different religions, they all have their different requirements. For Muslim weddings as well, you might have to, depending on the culture, the ceremony might need to be men and women are separate during the ceremony. So we might need to create like a separate space.
We find that's screening as well.
A screen or a curtain, or even 2 separate spaces entirely. So there's lots to consider.
So Sheleena, tell me about Barat entrances, because actually I'm not very familiar with these, because normally all the furniture, things that are inside, but I know that this is something that's outside the marquee.
Yes, so the Barat entrance is to welcome the groom to the ceremony, to the wedding.
Which religion?
Barat entrances actually not specific to any religion. They're more of a cultural thing. They happen a lot in Hindu weddings, but can also happen in Muslim weddings and Sikh weddings, Punjabi weddings. They're not like exclusive to one religion, I'd say. I have seen them happen at other weddings as well, but it just depends on what the culture is and what the family want to do, because essentially it's welcoming the groom to the wedding. It's the groom's entrance, so welcoming him and his family. Right. So the bride's side are there to welcome them, and they do like a greeting. So there are lots of things to consider for Barat entrances, because they can be, you know, lots of cars, like convoys of cars coming through. Like it's a big thing.
Love cars.
Yep, the super luxury cars coming through. You can have lots of people walking along with that. You can have horses. You can have.
We had a groom arriving in a rickshaw.
Yes,
once.
That's beautiful. Yeah, exactly. So you can have lots of things like that. So, and because we have lots of people, lots of, like, you know, horses or you know, cars coming through, there's lots of things to consider in terms of health and safety. We have, you know, we just need to make sure that the pathway is clear. Everyone also knows the route that they will be following, or they know to follow the dole players generally anyway. So we brief the dole players very, like, clearly on where they need to, you know, go around, and also just making sure that there's no sort of obstacles in the way, because the last thing you want is for somebody to trip over and get hurt because they're really having fun dancing and, you know, walking along, and then they don't realise that, you know, there's some sort of paving in their way. So just making sure that the walkways are clear. Yeah.